What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon, Lifestyles Defined. Welcome back to another episode of Aperture. Today's topic is editing on your PC versus editing on your mobile phone. This has been something in the back of my mind for a while, using tools like Snapseed, the mobile version of Lightroom, the mobile Photoshop, even some of the stuff that Apple bakes into their regular Photos app, some of the stuff Google's now baking in, and then you've got a lot of these different these OEMs adding their own tools in their camera app. There's some good stuff out there, definitely some good stuff, and it always was a question for me, which is better. And to be completely fair, I didn't want to answer that question of which is better, because you're comparing photography on something with these interchangeable lenses and crazy control versus something in a small sensor but with these huge software platforms behind it. So I really just wanted to see if there was a dramatic difference, if they have their own use cases that exist, and that's really what I set out to do. So the basis for this is I'm actually using an image taken from my Sony A7 Mark II, and I'm using the exact same image to edit in both Lightroom and Snapseed. I like Snapseed. I feel like Snapseed is pretty easy to use, pretty powerful, and that, of course, for those of you who don't know, is Google's own photo editing app. I quite enjoy it. I think there's a lot about it that makes it dope. But what you're looking at here is this dude in the park. It was actually after work on Friday, and they were doing some yoga in Bryant Park. So I got a few images of the actual event going on and some of the onlookers. I hope to God this guy knew somebody over there. He was really he was really entrenched in what was going on. A lot of beautiful women out there that day, so whatever. But yeah, here's the two differences, two different apps. The result from two different apps, right? One's Lightroom, one's Snapseed, and you tell me. Here's this guy. Obviously, is a bit more dramatic, a lot more detail. This guy here is a lot softer. I would say better exposed. But which do you think is the one edited from Snapseed? This one in the top right, you see it say which one.jpg, and then you've got the top left. I'm sorry, the top left again, which one 2.jpg. So yeah, take a guess. Also, we have, we've got another one here. So this is this is again a shot from the same event. I just panned the camera up. I had my what was this taken on my 70-200, my beer can, and it's a cool shot, right? But really, what attracts me to this shot is the clouds in the background and how pronounced the first building is in the foreground. I don't know what building that is. Another one behind is the Chrysler building, but whatever. Interesting nonetheless. So the which one 2.jpg has a bit more contrast, not as much detail, but I feel like it has a better exposure. Again, the same theme from the other one, and you see some of that golden hour stuff going on here on the side of the building. And then the which one.jpg, this one is obviously more dramatic, tons more detail, but I think the integrity is not as good as the which one 2. But you guys make the guess. So now that you're guessing, let me actually go through the editing steps for each, and then we'll talk in a bit. Now this is a good one to play with, because we've got these there's a hell of a contrast between these two buildings, right? The one in the foreground and the Chrysler Tower in the background, or Chrysler building, whatever the hell they call that thing. Then you got the clouds, and we can really make that pop just by lowering the highlights right out the gate. We'll see what that looks like. Dope, right? The problem with lowering the highlights, or really doing it, I find in Snapseed, is you get this weird glow around the building, if you can see it. And it really is one of those things you want to watch out for, because you can definitely run into that look of you're over editing the image. Just have the contrast. You guys know I love contrast. Let's bring the shadows up, get some of that green back in there, and of course the ambiance here. See, here's another one. You can tell, look at that glow around around the buildings. I like what it does, but I would prefer not to have that glow. So I guess I'm not gonna do too much or any ambience at all. Really, I don't like what it's doing there. All right, so that's enough of that. What we can do is we can go into detail and go ape shit on the structure, right? Look how far up that's got us. That looks okay. Already, huge difference in the image. Huge difference. Now we go into total contrast. Let's protect the highlights. Maintain some of that detail in there. Let's bump the mid-tones up and the lower tones a little. There's our before and after. That looks okay. Nice and dramatic. Now, here's where the decisions need to be made. So we got HDR, right? And what you can do is you go into a fine HDR and then lower the filter strength and come back up little by little to see where you like it. So I actually think somewhere around here looks pretty good, right? But again, the more you go up, the more you start to get that silly glow in the building. But I'm going to leave the HDR strength right here at 17. I think that does a good job. You can either go with the HDR or you can go with this drama. The drama is pretty cool, but I feel like I like the colors to pop a little more in HDR. And of course you can do both. I'm not going to do both. And let's just add a slight vignette to bring your eyes toward the middle. See what that looks like. And that's okay. Let's save that out. Right off the bat, looking at this image, there's really just one thing I really want to do, and that's get those clouds to pop. And I really got to play with my highlights to do that, and you can see it is not working. And the thing about Lightroom, I find, is it's not the best for playing around with stuff like this. It's got to be really dramatic clouds. I got to get this into Photoshop to really, if I do that I lose some of the, I really got to get this into Photoshop to get some of the detail out, and with using a filter or something to the effect. Just kill the noise a little bit. That should be okay. Let's use this dehaze. Let's get really aggressive with it. And then we go back and bring the exposure up a little bit. Make sure it's nice and lit. I like that, I like that, I like that. A little blown out over here. That's not gonna help me. Too much light. Alright, I'm satisfied with this. I'll export this. So the first thing I want to do here is just make some minor adjustments to the image, really. And drop the highlights down a bit. I don't know if I want the shadows. If I bring it up, it gives it a more daytime-ish feel, but I kind of like this heavy contrast mystery feel when you pull the shadows out. So add some more contrast to it. Saturation, not so much. There isn't much here I would want to bring out. I do want to make it a little more warm. There we go. And of course, this ambiance. It's a good part of Snapchat that I enjoy. That little filter there. Click and hold. You see the difference? Yeah. A little more warm. I like that. Let's go into detail now. Because this is a portrait, I don't want to add too much structure. See, that looks wild. So what we'll do is we'll bring it up to around 20 or so. I think that's a good amount right there, right? Let's look at the before and after. Yep, I like that. And then of course we head into the total contrast. I want to protect the shadows a bit. I always have to protect highlights for whatever reason. Make sure nothing's really blown out. Before and after. Everything has a much more clear look. So there. I mean, there isn't too much more I would have done to this picture because I quite like. Just get this vignette in a little more. I quite like the way the image came right out of the camera, so I'm not gonna go ape shit on it. But I think this looks good right here. I really do think this looks good. Looking at this image, I think this just needs a cleanup. There's a little bit of noise because it was shot at 1250 ISO, so it's a little noisy. I would really love to make it black and white, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that for the sake of the video. Let's hit auto, see what it does. Auto did a good job of brightening that up there. Maybe a little more contrast. I like the contrast. Let me bring it down just a little. I think his skin's way too bright. All right, so the highlights helped out there. Let's bring that down. Let's pull that. Where are my shadows? Let's pull the shadows a bit more. No, let's leave it that. I like it right there. Now, because this is a man in the image and not a woman, I'm not too afraid to get touchy with the clarity and really give him a rough, more detailed look, defined look in the face. I think this is good for me. I like where this is right here. So yeah, right. This is a very interesting thing that we got going on here. What I want to point out is my use case for something like a Snapseed. This image is a bit too dramatic for me. I do like it at first glance, but there are things about it that falls apart. And then if I go back to this guy here editing Lightroom, I could have done a way better job at bringing out some of the detail here, but still maintaining the integrity of the image, the sharpness and the detail. But there's a lot more time I would have had to invest. Whereas something like this gives you a more, wow, that's dope. Look at the drama going on in the clouds in the background. If you look here, I need to clean my damn lens. But this took me less than 5 minutes. And the use case for editing something like this in Snapseed, even though you get this glow around the structures that I really hate. This is something I would have done as soon as I got on the train, right? You're out shooting, you got a few good images, and you just want to hit Instagram with something real quick. This is something I would have sent directly to my phone over Wi-Fi, and I could have had this edited up and done, boom, on Instagram instantly. There's something to be said for that, right? Now, if I go back to the Lightroom edit, it's gonna take me at least another hour and a half to get this image to the drama that you see here in the Snapseed image, but get it right, because the Snapseed image it's noisy. I feel like the detail's a lot washed out. I could have, even though there's a lot more detail here, there's a lot of the blacks that I want to get back in there, a lot of the saturation. Here I get the saturation, but I don't have quite the detail. I needed to pull the shadow some more, and then I would run that through some filters that I got to really bring out even more detail. So overall, Lightroom, I could have gotten, if I had intention to sell an image like this, I could have been way closer to perfectionist mode. But again, the difference is about how quick I was able to get something together in Snapseed. So the same thing here, right? This is the what you're looking at now is the Snapseed image, and it does a good job at this drama about the picture and details in his jacket, so on and so forth. But then if I go back to the Lightroom image, it's better exposed. I think it's overall the better of the two images, but the Snapseed captured a lot more of the details and the drama that I wanted to really give this guy some character. But again, if I really cared a lot about this image, this was something I wanted to be part of my portfolio, something I intended on selling, something I would have done for a customer, I would have taken my time and used a lot of my selective tools in Lightroom and and really work a lot on the background over here, get rid of some of that noise. And this is really a downfall I find with Snapseed. I have not yet found a way to tone down the noise in images. I don't know if there is a tool. If there is, you guys hit me up, let me know. But again, this would have been done directly out of my camera in 5 minutes, right on Instagram, something fun to look at, and I would have had to put in a lot more work here. So I don't really think the two compare. I think they have their own scenarios. There's something very priceless about being able to get your work out there as fast as possible, especially if it's not a serious project. There's a lot to say for how powerful these mobile platforms have become. Snapseed is something you could have done on a tablet or your phone, and you don't have to own a big piece of software like Lightroom to get results. I think that's pretty dope. So yeah, for me, it's definitely interesting to see the differences in the two. Will I be doing any of my serious stuff in Snapseed? No, of course not. But it's cool to be able to play around with stuff I don't care about and not have to spend huge amounts of time to get some wow factor to really splice up the image. So that's cool. Anyway, thank you for checking it out. Like the video if you like it. Leave some comments below. I want to know what you guys think. Any editing tools you prefer besides Snapseed, let me know. And of course, subscribe. We got plenty more coming. I'm out of here. Peace.